Hey y'all, Zelda here. I am making this video because I have noticed that I've had quite a few conversations with clients lately about vision boards, about making a vision board, about why making a vision board feels intimidating, about what the assumptions are about what a vision board should look like, about the types of people who make vision boards, all that sort of stuff. And this is going to be a really short video, but I thought that just because I had the same, when I have the same conversation so many times that I do not initiate or bring up, I'm kind of like, this is like either having a moment, it's coming up in the like collective consciousness, or maybe there's like something that is getting brought up that I haven't particularly been exposed to, like in my algorithm. And as I'm trying to spend a little bit more time offline, that maybe I have something to add to. So if you are someone who already makes vision boards, maybe there'll be something here for you, but this is kind of for anyone who feels like you haven't made a vision board before, but you kind of want to. It feels a little intimidating. You want a little bit more clarity or specificity. And yeah, some of the kind of assumptions that I've heard that I kind of just want to like offer a counterpoint to. Now, vision boarding is essentially like if you haven't heard of it, it's like a collaging practice, right? Like that's what it is. It's a collaging practice. It has to do with an envisioning or a dreaming process of what you want to call into your life. So it's like collaging and intention setting. I do think that it has to do also with this kind of like manifestation. And I think that a lot of times people have a feeling that comes up around manifestation that I think is very valid, but I think it's very useful to apply like a dialectical thinking. Like I had a video on like dialectical thinking and spirituality. And I just think that just means that like things can be true, like conflicting things can be true at the same time. And one of those things about manifestation that I think is an important dialectic to hold is manifestation and like having intentions and knowing what you want in your life. It can be very useful in drawing those things towards you. And the manifestation, as it has been talked about, is very like infused with whiteness and white privilege and like the kinds of people who can manifest something that is like material, that can look very different, right? And that sometimes it is a term that comes up in particular in a like spiritually bypassing context. I agree with that. And I also think that manifestation has value or like engaging with the concepts of that can be very useful. So just naming like out front that that's a conversation that I've had, and I encourage you like if you have any like ooh kind of like reactions to it, that like maybe it's worth investigating like how do you kind of reorient around the fact that like envisioning can be a very useful process because of the concept of manifestation. And this is not about like putting it out there and not doing the work yourself or not acknowledging like systemic barriers, but is very different. So, one of the main things that people have said is I find it kind of intimidating, or I saw someone and they said to be like really specific about the kind of income that I want. And that's not really what I wanted to, like what I'm thinking of. And I feel like there's like two kind of camps. Like, one of them is like, and there's probably more. With all things, there's probably more. But like the mindsets that have come up is like one is like get super specific. This is exactly what you want. And the other is like vibes based. Like, what do you want it to feel like? And I think that it can be really useful, like depending on how your brain works, to go with some of the two. So there are like two strategies that I would say, and you pick, like, this is like a choose your own adventure option, right? You pick based on you as a person which one you want to do. One of them is for more of the vibes based, right? If you are someone who is very like visually driven, who is very intuitive, more of like a bottom up processor, I would say that, and you also, I would say for this, if you are someone who already does collage, like you have collaging materials on hand, whether that's like magazines or old books, nature books, things like that. If you don't have that on hand, this strategy might be a little bit less effective for you. What I would say this strategy is to go through collaging materials with the feeling of like what you want. Say you're doing a vision board for like the next calendar year, 2026, right? We're in December, people are starting to think about it. Say you want to do a vision board for the new year. Um, whatever kind of feelings you want, maybe you like make a list of the things that you'd like to call into your life. This could be anything super silly. I had a client, what I love, who said that she wants to befriend a crow next year, which frankly I want to put on my vision board now. But like that's the kind of thing. Like it doesn't have to be silly. It can be silly, it can be far-fetched. It also can be just really like I don't know exactly what I want it to look like, but like I know that I want to find like secure and stable housing. I want to get a promotion in my job. I want to change jobs. I want to share my art, like whatever it is, right? And the vibe space, I would say, is like you go through your collaging materials with those things, like maybe make a list in advance, and then you kind of go through and you seek things that give you that feeling, right? Um, then you take those things, you arrange them, you stick them onto like a piece of poster board, basically, or whatever it is you want to make yours, like on cardboard. I'll show you. I'm going to show you mine right after I tell you the second option. Um, so that's the one option, which I really like that. I do that. I find that very intuitive. It does take a little bit longer in my mindset. You can't just like bang it out as easily because it's like you need time to like let things arise and go through a bunch of stuff. The other option is more like specific and you make that same list of like the things that you want, or if it's like a vision board around a specific topic, say you want to do like a career vision board, or a art vision board or a spirituality vision board, right? You make a list of things that you kind of want to invite into your life, however vague or specific. And then you go through and you think of a symbol for each one. Like, how would you picture that if you were going to picture that, right? And if you can't think of one, don't worry about it too much, right? Like, just keep going through, right? For the example of befriending a crow, maybe it's a crow, right? Like, pretty straightforward. If it's a house that you want, maybe it looks like a house, right? If it's a feeling of like warmth and connection, maybe it's like a heart, right? Or whatever, right? Like you can get as abstract or as literal as works for your brain. This is a tool, an activity, something that should be enjoyable that is for you. And if you're not enjoying it, shift it up, shake it up a little bit, right? It's not going to, I just don't think it's going to be as effective if you don't enjoy it either. Like, why do a process like this if there's no enjoyment in it? Um, and then if you don't know, you can kind of like leave it for now. You can always write the just the word down if you can't think of an image. That's okay too. You can just put that on the board. But with the more like literal kind of like I don't have a lot of collage materials, you can even print stuff on out or make a digital collage for a vision board to set as like your phone background, which I think is a really cool kind of creative way to incorporate it into your life. Or for whatever else you want, like your desktop, that kind of thing, or print it out. And what you would do is just find an image for each of the things on the list, print it out, or put it on the digital collage, arrange it, and then that's your solid thing. If you can't think of an image, but just put the word. Now, those are the two options. Those are like the literal pathways of like, how do I do that A to B? And I made one with my spouse, and they had such a hard time with like just going through and finding vibes, but had no issue with like making the list and then finding a specific picture for each list. It was just like more linear. I think it just like clicked in a different way. I tend to do the more vibes based. I have a lot of collaging materials. I love going through them. I want an excuse to just like browse through things. I'm someone who loves to like clip things and collect things. Like I'm a little crow in that kind of way. So if you're like that kind of person, you might like just like the excuse to go through your collaging stuff, or like whatever. And if you're really creative, you could like make your own image and then cut that out and put that on the collage. Sometimes I do like abstract art in between if I feel like doing something with like other materials. Okay. Now I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. This was my vision board for 2025. You can see I was connecting with like animal spirits. I had wanting to connect with like nature and travel. This had something to do with kind of like a specific guide that I was connecting with. This was like around ancestry. Um, I'm not gonna go over every single. I'm gardening. I literally just wanted to do more gardening, which I did. I feel like really good about. And this one, I really loved the feeling of. This was around spirituality, and it ended up being that owls became very significant with a specific guide that I was working with. So that's kind of fun. Something if you do the more vibes based one, that sometimes I look back on my vision board and I'm like, wow, I had no idea how I knew that that was gonna happen. But it kind of came to represent something different. For instance, this is like a web that someone's like weaving, and I wanted to work on a creative writing project, and that was like working on with the golden web as one of like the visualizations that I do for writing, and so that's like the image that I chose. So yes, very vibes based. I like things that are not square. That just suits me, and then I just have this sitting on my wall where I can see it. A lot of times I do clip out like things that are like phrases. And sometimes I don't even have a list. Sometimes, like if I'm doing it for a year, sometimes I do it very like intuitive based and I don't have any of that. But also the one I have made other ones this year where I did do it more like literal. Like I want these different things and I want to have some visual representation. The one my spouse and I did was specifically for a task that was very challenging to complete. And we did this vision board as a way for them to have like motivation and like visual, like something in their space that would remind them, like, why do this challenging thing? And I think that that is really cool. It can be like a motivation, it can be a reminder, it can be a past self helping out future self in terms of continuing to put in the work towards something that you really care about. So, I hope that this is helpful. If you have anything that you add or that you keep in mind for a vision board that feels really important, I would love to hear about it. I've been talking to a lot of people about it. It's just been coming up, so I'd love to hear anything that you have to add on vision boards or any questions that you might have. I'd be happy to do a follow-up question answering video if something does come up. Anyway, hope that y'all are having a great end to your calendar year. Bye for now.